Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
it's gonna be. I'm telling you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another Tuesday night at 9:30. We've been having to push these things back, man. I've been on my prototype dad T-ball duty, so we'll be back on a regular 9 o'clock schedule come next week. But yeah, we got an interesting topic tonight, man. Some interesting cases been coming up and flying through. We want to talk a little bit about colorism and how it affects our community, how it affects our parenting, and the whole 9 yards. How we prepare for it if it's still a thing. You know what I'm saying? So. We got the original cast. So I would like to welcome Kat to the platform, and another special guest, Ash. What's going on, Ash?
Hey.
You already know Lee from Mo Better, man. Man, let's get it started, man. So first question, and I guess Lee, I'm gonna put you up because you're just used to going first. Is it colorism or preference in how we date, how we move, how we communicate, how we select? What would you say it is? Think about just a total picture of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How you choose partners, how you choose everything. Is it colorism or just preference?
I think it could be both, right? So, how I look at it is, oftentimes what I'll see and what I'll hear from other people is that, people typically date people who look like their parents. So if their mother was light skinned, then a guy might date a light skinned woman. If their mother was dark skinned, they might date a dark skinned woman, and vice versa for women. If you know what I mean. And I didn't believe it until I start seeing it a little bit. I'm like, oh wow. And even in myself, like I didn't really notice it, and then I recognized, oh, my mom's light skinned, and I had dated a lot of light skinned women early on. In my journey, but I think it can be both. You know what I mean? And I think society definitely puts this stigma on not only color, but features and hair textures and things like that. So there's a lot of things that go in the key, and a lot of that goes a lot deeper into some that psychological thing. The psychological remnants of slavery and things like that. But I ain't gonna get too deep in it this early. But yeah, I think it can be both.
Going up next, Kat, what you got?
That was good. I actually think it's who it is and how they're raised. I like the whole chocolate box from the whole chocolate box. And so so it just don't look at me like that. I can't wait to see what you have to say, sir. I do. Anything, I mean, as long as it got some spices in the box, I'm good with it. So I honestly think it's how you're raised and your background, all those different types of things as well, that some people have issues with, when it becomes the stigma of who you should, or whether it's color, or whether it, so for me, it's preference.
So I think it's kind of individualistic, to be honest. I mean, your preference could be a lighter hue or whatever, but Leifer, you actually gave me something to think about. But I'm definitely not. So I'm definitely not that. I don't fall into that category. I definitely didn't date somebody that looked like my mom, but I did kind of feel that there were traits that maybe they had that I was like, okay, do that or don't do that. So I that was interesting to think about that. But as far as like it being a preference, maybe when you're younger, and then I think eventually more, as you mature, I would imagine, obviously attractiveness is important, but I would imagine traits and, integrity and stuff and character plays a way bigger part into that. Me saying that also, I mean, I just got married Saturday. Literally, I'm big on hair. My wife has hair all the way down her back. So who am I? Who am I to say that, preferences is whatever, but I do have a preference, and it doesn't have anything to do with complexion, but I do have a very big thing for hair, and her hair is down her back.
Ash?
I can see how everybody took my answer, so I'm just gonna put it in a nutshell. Really don't like being last because everything is spoken, but I can see how it could be either or. Like growing up, it could be colorism. Starts out at colorism because some people do say that they don't want the outsiders in their house, but then when you grow up and the house people, they accept you more than your own color. So then you tend to navigate that way sometimes. But then you also got the narrative of what's pushed in social media. You get up in status, you go ahead, drop the black one and get you, another one that's of lighter or that can be tanned, so to speak. Because I ain't gonna say which one, because they choose, Chinese, all of them. Baby, that ain't what that's for. Baby, them rings are mine. I put them there. Don't worry about that. It's fake.
No, I was doing the complexion thing.
Oh, that's what they mean. I thought
Inside the house,
Beyonce put a
outside
ring
the
on
house,
it. My
look, outside
bad.
the house, inside the house. That's what you was doing. Outside the house, inside the house. That's what you was doing. Okay.
No, I just talk with my
meant.
hands. Here you go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
sit on them. I talk with my hands. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
So you know what, Vic? Something else that wasn't touched on, man. Maybe the era we grew up in, like us growing up in the '80s, man. Like, yeah,
You didn't
LB
see
Shore
That's
and all
coming up.
that.
That's coming up on the next
Yeah,
question. That's
so,
definitely the next
okay.
question. But I wanted to cook a little bit on this, right? So I definitely date like my track record is people that look like they could be in my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I have a wide scope of different kind of textures throughout my family. As you can see, Kat is my cousin. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, I do have some. We don't really got that many dark skinned people in our family. but like I think I'm probably about as dark as we get it. but that's kind of like my range of how I judge who I should date and how I've dated and how I got married. You know what I'm saying? So like if I could take a picture of my grandmother and my wife and just, you know what I'm saying, they would kind of look similar. Like you know what I'm saying? Like down to the T. It's funny. I call her little Florence all the time. You know what I'm
I
saying?
never
So
thought of that.
yeah. So
Wow.
so there's that for sure. Um Next question though, I just kind of wanted to get into is growing up, man. How has it really affected you? Because I think that's where we're seeing it the most in our throughout the childhood and just getting into it. Light skin, dark skin, um, every like girls being light skinned was a thing growing up. You know what I'm saying? And if a girl wasn't like all you had to do is like, oh, she light skinned. Oh, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? You like, what? Like every light skinned girl is not pretty. You know what I mean? But every dark skinned girl ain't ugly. Like, you know what I mean? There's some beautiful dark skinned girls too. So it's just like it's just one of those things, man. So how have colorism affected you in your choices of how you either chose your friends or chose girls you was like kind of hitting on throughout the years, Leifer?
Um, I'm gonna say it right now. You gotta excuse it because I'm being real prototype dad right now. So my son's in the background. You might hear him chime in from time to time. But yeah, I don't know that it has consciously. I mean, subconsciously, there might have been some things in there that that aided my navigation through dating and selection of friends and things like that. But um, for me, it was more I guess, the intangibles, you know what I mean? That I chose those, partners and friends and things like that because it was based off of more loyalty. Because I'm more of a, I'm a real loyal dude. So, and I'm very selective about the people that I have in my life, and I keep my circle pretty small. So, if you're in my circle, it's because a lot of those intangibles are not necessarily you know, those things that you might consider, you know, colorism or, you know, texturism or any of those other isms. You know, for me, it was like, okay, you said something or you did something that was like, all right, that's solid. And, you know, I was like, you know, for me, I just was like, okay, well, let me learn more. Let me see if this actually is a real thing or if this is just the, you know, an imposter, you know, trying to put up a front. So I think that's pretty much how I select the people in my life, man. I look for those real moments that define, you know, who a person really is deep inside rather than those things that, you know, are just facade.
Cat.
I should probably go last. No, I'm just kidding. um, oof.
I want to switch it up. How has it? Have you noticed the selection on you based off of your colorism?
Yes, but I have to put it in perspective of even when I was younger, because my mother is brown skin. My stepfather was brown skin. And I remember him telling me, like, my best friend was white and she liked black dudes. And, uh, you know, her parents were like, you know, all the way white. And she wasn't allowed to. And I remember asking the question as a person who has white in my race. I was like, well, why can't, you know, what do you think about it? And they're like, you can date anybody because you have it in your, you know, bloodline. And I'm like, but my stepfather said, don't you bring the white man home. I mean, this is like during that era. Like, I'm like, how can you tell me what is correct for me to like? Mind you, I am in the generation, especially in the early 80s, where they're still calling mixed kids mulatto. You know, I'm trying to find who I am. I am still at this age, have to prove my blackness, not really, but you know, people, you know, so growing up, it was very hard. I had a certain type of guys. I don't like guys that look like guys in my family, but are modeled after my grandfather, my uncles. So a hard worker. But I also knew who I fell in love with when I was 8, which was Prince. So I knew what I wanted them to look like. And
No,
I
none of us
remember,
look or act or nothing. None
huh?
of us are like that.
Shut up.
None of us.
He's better than all y'all. So now you'll never reach the standard. No, I'm just kidding. But that doesn't mean that's every guy that I found or every guy that I liked. I do know that I liked pretty boys. I didn't care what color of the spectrum you were on. I just liked them pretty. So, you know, it shaped me being, you know, light skin. It shaped how I thought of people. Now, also in this era, we're going to discuss the 90s. Like you said, the light skinned girl, the Albie Shores, the this, like that. People were like, oh, you know, I want the light. You know, and I'm like looking at you like, what? Like, this is what you date just because I'm light skinned or just because, you know, you think you're getting something different? Talk to me. I'm black as they come. It's not gonna, it's not any different. You're just looking at a different spectrum. And you think you're going to see, you think by color, you're going to get a different person. It's not always like that, especially the house that you're raised in. So it just depends on, you know, who people think that they're actually getting when they're looking at a spectrum of a person. So
Now, I want to kind of say a little bit before Mo go, right? Because I tease him all the time.
Mhm.
And I think something happens to him, I think, where he purposely goes against the grain on how he selects. Like, I think he doesn't like light-skinned women. Like, I used to tell him, like, you don't like light-skinned women, dog? He's like, oh, it ain't that. I don't know. I don't even listen to what he tells me because I'm so convinced in myself that he just don't like light-skinned women. But
They had they shot. They had
a
they
lot of
shot.
people think you're high maintenance. A lot of people think it's a lot. It's a lot of different things.
So here's the Mo Better portion of the show. So essentially what happened for me was this. I truly I look at people like the inside of them. Like I couldn't care less about, obviously there needs to be a certain level of attraction, but like I'm not like, oh, because you're light skinned, that supersedes everything else. So that's always been kind of my thing. And I remember going back, and this is like, I don't even know what they call that, pre-K, I guess. So I went to a mixed pre-K, and I remember my first girlfriend was a white girl named Allison. And I remember they was killing me. Like I'm 4 years old, and they're like, "Oh, what you doing?" I didn't even know what black and white was. And they're like, "Oh, what you doing with her?" And blah blah blah. And so, but we had things that we liked. We liked the color. She shared stuff with me. She gave me something that one of her snacks or something like that. So I liked the energy. I liked the vibe. I didn't look at her and say, "Oh, well, that's outside the house. I can't deal with that." So, but I've always kind of been maybe a little bit different than kind of my peers. So, and then I ended up going to a very black elementary school. And then that's when I started hearing the stuff like, oh, well, African booty scratcher, and oh, she's black as tar and midnight. And I'm like, oh, wow, I actually thought she was pretty, or I thought she was cool. She was actually really smart. And what I started seeing was I started seeing people get bonus points for being light or having colorful eyes and stuff like, and I was like, that's dope. Congratulations. But what if there's a lack of character or oomph in them? I'm like, I just wasn't willing to grade on that scale. So that's all it be for me. Like, been there, done it. I've tried them. For whatever reason, they just haven't been something that I took serious. Sorry, but I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm more about the content of their character, and obviously there has to be an aesthetic that I like, but like the lighter hue doesn't change my grading scale at all for me. Like, because you'll hear somebody literally say, I've heard people say, "Oh, well, you're cute for a dark skinned woman." I'll be like I cringe when I hear that.
Do you think them being light skinned automatically gave you a negative connotation about them?
So, and it's funny y'all said that, or maybe somebody said that in the chat. So maybe because in my family they had some of that in them. So maybe I was kind of socialized, and that was kind of subconsciously part of it. But I gave everybody a chance that I was attracted to. So because I've never been the one to be like, oh, she acted light skinned, and like I've never did nothing like that, or I never said anything like that. But subconsciously, I know my family has some of that in them. And really, it's not more about the hue, it's about kind of culture and ancestry for them. Like anybody from like the islands or Caribbean, they have a thing for that. They'd be like, stay away from them. So, but those type of things is more in that was just kind of socialized into me. But in my core values, I don't see it that way at all.
Ash?
Okay. Well, colorism for me growing up, well, I went to a predominantly all white elementary school. So it was a sort of like more better situations. Like it's a culture shock because it was about, I can count, it was about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 or 7 other black kids. And we're talking out the whole little country school. And then when I went to middle school, and then I see all these black, what is this? It's a culture shock to you, and you have to switch because this accent you hear, I was very country. Like envelope, I cannot say that. Envelope, you mean envelope? Is that what you're talking about? Rubbing alcohol. It took me a while to get this out because I was raised by my grandma, going back and forth her house. So I'm real, real country, but proper with it. And when you go deal with predominantly black kids, they hood, and it's like, why are they speaking that way? Like you said, monkey and black this and black. I'm like, I ain't never heard this. We all played together, but then like when you get in the class, it's like separation, like it's split, and in my mind as a child, my best friend is white. Like, what is this? And it's like it was fewer white kids than there was black kids, and it was a culture shock for me. Dating, they always told me I was gonna marry a white man. It still ain't happened. Yeah, okay, here you go. High five. It still ain't happened. I was told. Matter of fact, I was driving the bus. Matter of fact, when I first started driving, a dude told me, "Oh, your kids are mixed." I'm like, "How?" I was like, "Baby, my kids is fully black. Now they got some Louisiana Creole blood mixed up in there, yes, but they're fully black." The last time I checked, like I don't know how to say it because my colorism never affected me dating. I've always been open to dating people, but subconsciously it's like, do I really want to fight that battle? Because to me, that's what I look at. Because when you see an interracial couple, they go through a struggle. And like when you have the division amongst the race, you have to actually sit down and have a talk about that, and some people don't know how to come at that. So for me, I can honestly say I'll cross the line, maybe say hi, we can be friends, be real cool. But as far as dating, take you home, meet the fam dating, no, we're not going there. Cause like Kat said, I like the chocolate box. I'm sorry. And I don't have a preference. Cause one kid is very high yellow and the other one is dark skinned. So to let you know, I don't care about color. I like Mo better say, if I vibe with you, fine. Cause in my family, like the lightest person is my grandma's side. But on my grandpa's side is like darker. My daddy's side is darker. But mom's side, everybody's light skinned. Like when I was little outside, I was probably black as Mo Better shirt because I was always outside in the sun. So this lightness come from me being in the house, you know. So with that being said, you know, white dudes don't really check for me because I'm not dark enough. And I be trying to tell folks, like, if you really look at it, when you look at a white guy with a black chick, she's like very dark or closer, or maybe like 5 or 6 shades darker than me.
They ain't looking for white chocolate.
Yeah,
yep, they ain't looking for no white chocolate.
They don't want this. They want to fit that stigma because I don't fit. So, you know, hey, you just throw me to the Mexicans or something. You know, they love me because, you know, I got the brown skin going. I look like I'm from Mexico or whatever. But as far as white men don't look at me. They really don't, because they want that darker. They want that stereotype that what we deem ugly. And I never understood that because there's some beautiful dark women. Because by all fans, I love Kelly Rowland. She don't get enough props for us. I just had to give it to her.
I don't know. I think
they don't give her enough props, baby.
I think she do.
Her, I think she don't. That's my opinion. So you want to start boxing early tonight?
I've heard plenty. I've heard plenty of times people say she's better than Beyonce. Like she's the prettier one that I heard Beyonce. Like I've heard that plenty of times.
Well, I haven't. Okay, because here you go. When you're submerged,
maybe you let the various where you want to keep that negative. You know what I mean? That negative stigmatism on you.
You got colorist ears.
I'm not gonna cut up with y'all today. I'm not gonna do it. But I am.
No, but
yeah.
But Vic, I think something that we might have to talk about though is kind of the difference between kind of male-female dynamics. Like for males, it might not really be that big of a deal, but for women, it totally was, especially coming up in our era. Like that was huge.
Now it is, because when you're deemed that, it's like, how am I automatically put over here? And this man not even looking at me. What I'm supposed to do, sit up here and say, accept me, because they don't accept me because I'm proper. I don't want to be hood all my life. I don't want to be, down with the struggle and let you go to jail and hold you down. No, I'm not doing that silly stuff. There's a whole life out here. You want to go behind bars and have a bad time, that's on you. I'm not going to do that. It's stupid.
No, I want to, Mo, I understand where you're coming from. And I think that's an immediate circle thing. But I think men definitely go through it. And, I think it kind of speaks to a lot of men, especially from the hood, love them white girls. They always jumping out to, to suburban areas. Like they couldn't get enough of them. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that going on, more so like where they hold, like dudes from the hood will hold up a white girl way higher, like she's special. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand what that's really about. Because it ain't like
culture.
It's a
that's culture more than it's culture more than it's color.
I don't think
that's what it is.
Because don't get the white trash. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's why they do it. And that's why they'll do it. Because they're actually valuing their white culture over a hood rat. Like they'll value a white, and that's crazy. I'm saying this.
I'm not talking about white. I'm talking about like white trash. Like she's white but act black. No, I'm talking about white but act black.
Because those are the ones that the white guys don't want. Anything that the white men don't want, that they put D value on, we go run and get it. And we put a value on it. So you got to think about it. When you really look at some of these movies, when they have those kind of scenes in there, who's really looking at the white girl acting black? I've had this conversation. Deep. I really have had this conversation. It's like, do you really want to deal with something that's acting black? Like I did have, like I said, I had a little experiment with a white guy, but he wasn't white. It wasn't that. It didn't go that far. He was trying today. It didn't work. It didn't work because he wasn't white. He was trying.
You didn't trigger light skin Farrakhan. Here we go. You didn't trigger light skin Farrakhan.
Hey, Leifer, I want you to address the question. Was there? Did you experience colorism in your family?
I saw that, but I don't think so. And that's like because like my mom's side is like fully mixed. You know what I mean? So my grandmother was mixed, Irish and black. So like half of her brothers and sisters like passed for white, and the other half is like dark. So it's just so it was weird. So I guess there might have been colorism amongst them, but by the time I was born, it was like these are my uncles or these are my aunts or whatever, and some of them just disassociate themselves from the family altogether, and kind of went their own way. But I never really experienced it in that way because I like for me, I mean, you know me, I like the whole spectrum. You know what I mean? So I was out there exploring the world. So it wasn't never a thing for me that I had to deal with in my family, so to speak. Probably more uh texturism and featureism type of things where certain things are said like, "Ooh, they got good hair." Oh, and that always like bugs the heck out of me, because if you're saying somebody has good hair, then you're intrinsically saying that somebody else has bad hair, and then you're already putting these things in the minds of children, and now they're already dealing with low self-esteem because they looking at their cousin with the curly wavy hair and the whatever color eyes, and they're already starting to have these self-esteem issues. So that's always been a problem for me, and I've always hated that. So yeah, and I've had somebody say that because my son he's a little light bright with little curly hair, and somebody had just said it a couple of days ago, like, "Ooh, look at that, he got good hair," and I almost like spazzed out, but I had to kind of hold myself back because it's like I be fighting against that. Like I think Chris Rock had that documentary, but I can't remember what it was called. But like I used to run
Good
that
hair.
in my
It was
household.
called good. It was called
Yeah,
good hair.
I used to run that in my household. Like, yo, we don't follow these guidelines. We don't run by these rules. Like this good hair, bad hair, this big nose, small nose, wide nose. Like we ain't doing that. We don't subscribe to that. So you know what I mean. I've always had a problem with those type of things more than any color guidelines, man. So, but yeah. I've never had a issue with colorism, to my knowledge, in my family.
Is this what y'all mean by that bad hair?
Quentin needed to brush that and put a little grease on. Brush it
Yeah,
off.
that's just
Yeah.
bad maintenance.
Nobody
That's
That's no
mismanagement. That's mismanagement of your hair. Like he just don't care. That's all that is.
Is that good hair or bad hair right there?
That's psoriasis. Like,
If you gonna put him up, you need to put Lil
That's
Wayne up
neglect.
where that dread does like that.
Oh man,
That's
I mean he
neglect.
purposely
He
did that
neglects
like
his
that,
head.
but
He got too much money to be neglecting his head like that.
He just don't care.
It's a violation.
Oh man.
Oh, you sound like my uncle now. That's a violation.
It's a violation.
So
they should find him for that. That's not part of the uniform. They should find him for that. God, please.
we mentioned the 90s and how the Albie Shores and the light skin thing was in, right? But a big part of our lives was hit 2000. So in 2000, the vibe switched to skinny dark skinned guys. I don't think it switched for women though. I think light skinned women were always still the preference.
Light skinned women has always been the preference.
Right, I think so, but for men though, and
I'm gonna say some men,
and there's a thing where light skinned women, like my grandmother, like my grandfather was dark skinned, so it's like my grandmother is very fair, and she's like, I want me a dark skinned guy. I think all my grandfathers, they're all dark skinned, right, Kat? Like they're all pretty chocolate or whatever.
Well, only my grandfather, your grandfather, and Uncle Otis, I think, they're the darkest ones.
Well, I mean, the women were kind of dark too, though.
No, my granny was a little fairer. I don't know.
Not their women. They had light skinned women.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, about what generation they're from, though.
But they didn't look white.
No, you know my grandma.
They didn't look. I don't know what grandmother looks like. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
So just based off kind of those generations and kind of their standards. So like I got a crazy story. So So both my grandmothers on my mom and father's side, they actually grew up together. One was fair, last name Jenkins, but they could actually pass as white. The other one, they were dark skinned or whatever, right? And literally, so they had went the same high school and everything, had very much a different walk. Obviously, not just based off of that. There was actually some financial and socio-political stuff but they had a little bit of an easier walk because they were fair skinned. And not only were they fair skinned, they were actually passing as Italian. So they had a much easier walk than kind of the run-of-the-mill black looking people that how I turned out. So they had a much easier walk. But with that being said, though, there's a certain level of preference that society gives you when you have that fair look. So you, just because you don't subscribe to it doesn't mean that you're not having a different walk in society because of it. And I think that's the part, what they say, the privilege that people have is invisible to them. So I think that's a big part that people don't understand, is that you may have different interactions and you may have different responses from the world based off of your aesthetic because you're maybe more fair.
I can get with that. I can get with that because I've seen people treat dark skinned people just like horrible for no reason. Like, I never understand that. It's like, why? And it's like the jokes about dark skinned people is like digs. Like, I remember one of my ex told his homeboy, now he was dark skinned. He said, you know what? When you get out your car, the oil light comes on. I said, really? That's your friend? You talk to him like that? You didn't want to fight him? And mind you, my ex at the time was light skinned. Like, really? Like, dude, we would have to fight. My all light come on, really? You trying to call me that black? Like, it's in us. And I don't understand. It's like, we as the people endure racism, why is it so embedded amongst us? That's my biggest thing.
If I seen, like, you know how men do that, like, size you up thing, like every time we walk past each other or whatever. If I see a dark skinned dude, I think twice because I automatically think like he don't got nothing to lose.
But why not?
No.
But why?
No.
Because he look better. I look better than him. Like, he don't care
and why? And why? Because of your complexion?
No, it's just I don't know. Probably, but it was probably that. Yeah, like I would always double think. Like growing up, I'd be like, man, all them dudes, they dark skinned too. They don't got nothing to lose. They're already ugly.
You think, like, if you saw Tyrese, which is like, you would actually think you look better than him? No, you don't. I'm just saying, skin color doesn't make you more beautiful. I have so much to say on this because I used to watch this growing up. Y'all don't understand how this used to mess with me. My mother is brown skinned and beautiful. Like, and I am on a different color spectrum that I've always had to try. I'm not even joking now, y'all. I'm tan. This is fun. This is the lighting, and it's not fair because I actually feel like, shut up. You are no better. I'm gonna get you. But
I'm gonna say this is dark. What is it? Powder? Like, golly.
Listen, it's the lighting. I think the lighting is off. So, I have a big problem with this. I have been watching this my entire life. As a teenager, when I'm going into the store, a higher end store with my friends, white people feel very comfortable with me. I'm not a threat to what they see. People they respond to me. I watch it every time I go to Publix, the different stores. I watch it in the higher end stores. One of the ladies told my friend, like, it was like a Pretty Woman moment where it was like, I can't help you. And I'm in the store. That's one of my best friends. And I'm like, you didn't say anything to me. And she, oh, it's okay. Can I help you? No, you can't, because you just disrespected my friend. That's my friend. I was like, let's go. Because I can't get past noticing it. I notice it. I know that I pass, and I know that I get privileges for being a different skin color, for looking and talking a certain type of way. I know. I see it.
Kat,
and I
you're
watch
rare.
it. Huh?
You're rare, Kat, because you're very
My
fair,
family.
but you were raised by dark-skinned people. That's why you see it. People that all they have is that they don't feel and understand their privilege. You do, because you was raised by people that saw you as privileged.
So I'm gonna tell you another thing I look at. Anybody with white in their blood that's raised by white people or lighter, fairer, if they're raised by white, they're different. They're ready to open and
Mhm.
accept different things, or they don't see things the same way. I do
Culture.
fight. I do fight for the. This is personal. When people are like, "Well, we just gonna get all the black people and have our own planet." Well, doggone it, can I come? Like, because I feel like it's not fair. Because I am black. It's in me. If I got a little mixed up, that's not my fault. You know, but it hurts. It hurts because I've been told things, y'all. Like I'm not dark enough. I'm not black, and like I can't. Are you allowed to say the N-word? Because I'm like, don't play with me. Like, so it's hard and it's unfair on both spectrums. And I just want to say, beauty is not a color. Preference is not a color. But we make it these things when we marginalize. When people joke about people being dark skinned and different things, they're trying to make themselves feel better about their own color. I want to say this as a very fair light skinned person. I don't understand when people that are tanner call themselves red bone or light skin, because I'll be like, where? But you make yourself feel better than somebody that might be a little browner because you feel a little bit more comfortable with the European standard of skin. It's
Vic,
go ahead.
I
Vic, here
hate
it
being
comes.
called light skin. I
Here
hate
it
it.
comes.
I hate it. I don't.
Where you
You
stand,
just said
where you
just
stand
said
is determined by where you sit.
I'm not. I don't call myself light skin. There's dark skin though, and there's.
but you
I'm
consider
not light
yourself a
skinned.
lighter standard. And for
No,
me, that is
no.
like as
I consider
if
myself a more
you feel
attractive
that a
dude than
dark
most dark
skinned
skinned dudes,
man
but that's me.
has nothing to lose. That dark skinned man, I can tell you so many dark skinned, powerful, beautiful, like beyond their recognition. And really it's just like what they stand for as black men that can knock any color out of a room. And it's not because, of their color spectrum, it's because of who they are. There is something regal about black. And that's why in this era, I'm so happy because I got other stories about the good hair and all that other kind and the colorism I've experienced in my own family and different things like that to speak to. But I'm glad we're reaching a point where we can talk about hair as textures, because there are some even Caucasus, not me, the other people, the other Caucasus, that, hush, it's not me. I was just doing the palm too. That have, C3, different types of C hair for their, you know what I'm saying? And it's, of course, everything is where you're from and different things like that, but it's the type of hair you have. It's the type of skin that you have, how to take care of it. You know what regions you're in. I'm glad we're embracing that. I'm glad women don't just want to have the same standard, that they were taught, or brought to, because we were brought to certain standards.
Yeah, the relaxer, and now they got these big lawsuits out about these chemicals. All the chemicals are now causing all these cancers. Y'all knew that. Y'all didn't care then. Y'all burnt your hair out and burn our hair out. I don't even do perms. Relaxers. We don't
They
do
did
none
the same
of that.
thing to white girls with curly hair. They don't want the white girls to have curly hair. They knock people's hair, just straighten it as white as you can possibly be.
You want it bone straight. I'm like, for what? Let me have my kinks. I like my kinks.
So I kind of wanted to go into.
They take away black.
Yeah,
the less
you
black, the better.
Dull it down.
So the main topic is, being that we're all parents here, we have kids, that we have to prepare for this kind of world and this, these different standards of what's going on, and we want to raise our kids with the most innocent light. You know what I'm saying? To accept all people, but it's not like that. Evidently, like naturally, things happen. We go to school and they're joking about this or joking about that. How do you protect your kids against the colorism and even the love is love interracial, dating situation, knowing that your kid might date somebody that's not accepted by the other person's culture or family or whatever. So how do y'all date? How do y'all prepare your children to face these kind of, situations? Leifer?
I don't have a good answer for this, man. You know what? Because I've been on the other end of that. You know what I mean? Where I've been dating other cultures where I wasn't really accepted, and at no point, I mean, from beginning to end. So um, I think really just honing in, and it's something that I really try to do all the time. It's like honing in on that self-esteem piece, and making sure that I'm like putting in, not even just my kids, like my nieces, my nephews, and
What was that?
I have zero idea. I don't know what it was. It was somebody liked what I said, and it was a background explosion of likes. I have
It gave his
zero
own
idea
celebration.
because I didn't even put it up there, so I don't even know. But yeah, like even like what I call my neighborhood nephews and nieces. You know what I mean? People that I kind of mentor and and have relationships with out in the community. Like you know, find out who you are. Be proud of who you are. You know what I mean? Stand in that. Stand up in it. You know what I mean? And really like focus on your self-esteem, and don't worry about what nobody else say and nobody else. It's okay to be the outlier. It's okay to not be in the group. It's okay to not, what I mean, to follow the normal standards that everybody put in place for you. And you know what I mean? Feel good about who you are. And that's really what I try to instill in my kids is like, just like, yo, don't worry about all the outside noise, man. Make sure when you look in the mirror, you like what you see. Because if you want to base your existence off of what everybody else sees, you're gonna be miserable for the rest of your life. So make sure that when you look in the mirror, you love you and you care about who you see in the mirror. And that's the way that I approach it, man, because folks sometimes they get stuck in their ways, and sometimes it's not just them. Sometimes they're stuck in a culture or they're stuck in an ideology where they're prisoners to it, because if they step out of line, then now they might get cut off or you're alienated from their family or their friends, and people are scared. They have a fear of being alone, they have a fear of being ostracized, and they don't want to stand up to those societal bullies. So you know you got to be able to be confident in who you are and what you're about, and be able to stand 10 toes in that and say, the heck with what y'all talking about. I know who I am. So
Hey, that's a lot of pressure to date somebody, um, and knowing that they'll get ostracized from their family just because they're dating you. And now you have to really be that person's rock only family stand. You know what I mean? Because now that person's cut off from a whole situation because of you. You know what I mean? That's a huge responsibility. Kat, what you got on it?
certainly.
Um, how do I protect my child first? It's kind of hard because life will find ways of finding ripples for kids to get in their head. My daughter is got caramel colored skin and hair down to her butt, and she looks every race. She looked, and we moved to Georgia when she was 8. I mean, I'm telling you, we joke about in Atlanta, we can find someone who looks like her in every race. Like, you think you're protecting, but you don't know that there's going to be people jealous of her hair, jealous of her skin color, jealous of you. You don't know. And I'm like, it's hard. My job is to love her, which I'm so glad I get to say this because I meant to say this on the Mom podcast. Love my child first. Teach her that she is beautiful no matter what. As long as she knows who is inside of her, what is inside of her, then I am proud of who she is, accepting who she is. Letting her know that beauty standard, and because I love makeup, because I love hair, beauty standard is an inward appearance that shows on the outside in me. So inside, if I'm beautiful, I portray that to my outside. No amount of makeup, no hairstyle, nothing can make me. Because if I'm ugly within, or if I'm down on myself within, then I'm not going to be able to portray that. So you try to give them those standards so that when they are approached by peers for looking a certain way, or, you know, meeting a beauty standard, they know what they're being taught at home, and they can carry that with them with all these challenges. So that's how I choose to protect my child in, when it comes to color, what you should look like, all those other type of things. Know who you are. As far as dating in outside your race, or for people, when you date, I'm teaching you it should be somebody you're serious about walking life with, even if they are in phases of your life. Um, I don't think there should be a color preference. I don't think there should be a race preference or heritage preference unless it's too much for each of you to handle at a certain age, because everybody's not meant to handle everything at a certain age. People do have a lot of things put on them from their family, whether it's success, standard, or heritage and race, standard. So I think people should break color barriers and different things like that. I think people should break heritage barriers, because it's beautiful to see people come together and create something that the world doesn't feel should belong together. And that's just my, my preference. I want you to love somebody who loves you for who you are, who is willing to be 100% honest with you and walk out with you. So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Mo.
So let's start with how we teach our kids. I think it starts with having self-worth and trying to build their confidence and stuff like that. However, the world isn't always taught what your kids were taught, so I also have to be realistic as well. So when I say you have to be your best self when you're going out in public, because perception can be reality. So your first impression is actually going to be how a person treats you going forward, until you prove them otherwise. So it's easy to say, oh, well, the beauty standards, oh, well, don't subscribe to them, just do what you do. And but I mean, that's a lonely walk. So as far as protecting them is by, kind of building them on the inside, but also making them aware that how you present yourself on the outside is very much important in being your best self. However, when it comes to the issue of and I keep saying this, color and culture are two different things. Colorism is, okay, we're going to have a black person that's fair skin versus dark skin. Going across races, that's culture. That's something totally different. Wouldn't be my preference for my daughter. However, if that's what she decided to do, I would say, hey, make sure that you're aware of what you're getting yourself into, and make sure this person understands what comes with it. Because, and I have a saying, I'm not mad at you for the decision you made. I'm mad at you. You're not able to deal with the consequences that came with that decision. Because, okay, so let's say you do decide to do that. Okay, you love that person. Okay, are you aware of the type of things that you're going to be exposed to now? Are you aware that there's going to be raisin in the potato salad now? Like there's going to be culturally things that just don't match up, and you have to be open and honest with yourself to say, I'm open to live with this, and I'm open to say, okay, well, I'll try it. You can't go in there and be like, well, my nana used to. They're gonna be like, I don't care. They don't care about that. So you can't go and put your culture on somebody else's culture. When you decide to do that, you have to be open and honest with yourself as to what's new. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it wouldn't be my preference, but I mean, I wanted to be treated right. And we kind of talked about this, I believe, last show. And this is something that I haven't gotten. She's 15. I haven't necessarily had this talk to her yet. Let's say you do go over to another race or whatever. Make sure you're not somebody's fetish. Make sure they like you for you. Don't be somebody's fetish. I've heard, I went to school in West Virginia. I've heard white boys say, hey, I'm getting my black belt this weekend. So don't be that. Don't ask Cat. Yeah, so it's one of those things intent. And like I say, man, I'm always talking about the inside and the positivity and that type of stuff. But you also have to keep in mind, everybody's not going off that standard. The outside world is the outside world. So you have to do business as business is being done with you outside.
Ash?
I don't teach color. It wasn't taught to me like that. Like I said, I had white best friend. We're still friends this day. Our kids know each other. They don't get to play together because we're miles and miles away. But I don't teach colorism. far as dating wise, date whoever. But like Mo Better said, know what comes with that. Make sure you're not a fetish. One thing I do teach is my kids, love what you see. If you don't love what you see, how you gonna go out there and fight for what you see? You gonna let somebody talk to you any kind of way? Like in my house, I joke. I talk about everything from your feet to your nose to your hair because I want you to hear it already. Come back with the jokes. Don't sit there. Don't come crying to me. That's always been my biggest thing. Don't come crying to me because somebody said something about you or somebody said something about me. I tell them all the time, I ain't shush. Whatever. I'm broke. Yeah. I'm everything but a child of God. Because what they don't know what goes in this house. They don't know what I do for you. That's none of their business. I don't care about them kids. I tell all the time, I don't care about your friends. They ain't mine. We can't talk. We don't relate. You know, at the end of the day, you might not even like this kid tomorrow. And I don't get in kids' business because you know kids fight and then they not friends today, but come Friday, oh, they hanging out again. And I'm like, what I say about this character? Why are we texting? Why are we talking? Yeah, I just did this yesterday.
Ash, how old are your kids?
I have a 14-year-old and a 9. So
Okay.
yeah, try to bridge that doggone gap. What was I thinking? Plan and shouldn't have been. But
liking that chocolate, that box of chocolate you talking
sure
about?
Was. And this time it was that light box. I should have threw that vanilla swirl back. But anyway, it's nothing against light people. It's nothing against, like I said, my mother is this color. Okay, my mom is actually this color. That's why you got this. But anyway, I just try not to teach it because if we're not focused on that, you're not going to gravitate towards that. But you need to have the comebacks. Don't worry about your hair. Because my oldest hair, like you saying, the good hair, she's on closest to the good hair spectrum. My other one, you know, she's more Afrocentric and she's lighter skin. You know, it's just how the genetics worked out. She don't have that hair. And I don't teach her that that's bad. No, I just say you just got hair like your mom. It's thick. You just need proper maintenance. You need to be taught that. And I think the one thing that's not taught is how to love our hair. That becomes us. We, you know, cover it. And pretty soon I'm going to have me some weed because it's going to get cold. But we're not taught to love our hair. We're taught to hide it. So that becomes part of our personality. So I put weave in the hair, yes. But I'm not teaching them to hide it. Because it starts with me. If I'm running around here with my hair hidden, no, you ain't never seen it. And I ain't got nothing but, you know, the 17 head back here, they're not going to love their hair. So I went natural for the upteen town and I done stayed that way. But I'm trying to reassure them that, hey, I can do it too. Because why preach something if I'm not doing it? Like, I do wear makeup, but I don't teach them to go out, put makeup on every day. Why do you need to put on a whole clown outfit just to go outside? Be yourself. Love what you see. Because if I ain't loving what I see, I can't teach you that. And I'm going out here in full face. Yes.
So Ash, that begs the question. So you said you have 2 kids, and I guess they're on the different spectrums of color or whatever, and maybe even texture as well.
Here you go. You got one over here and one right here. It's pretty much just like that. I promise.
Now, when you're saying you're not teaching, like, so they're growing up in the same house, you're not teaching color, or I think that's how you worded it. You're not teaching color. So I would imagine, even though they're not that close in age, aren't they realizing that their response and their relationship with the world is different?
Not really, because see, this is how I explain my kids. One is Katie. If you ever been to Houston, you know, it's nice, real uppity. And then you got Houston. You know,
I'm aware.
Okay, so that means that little one, the light-skinned one, that's more Houston. She don't care. You can say whatever, babe. Fat got to come back. Fat is like that. Now the oldest one, she a little softer, but she gonna come back with you. She's not really rah-rah. She's more Katie. She's more suburban, but fat is more hood. And I've been trying to work on that, and it just doesn't work. I mean, she's going to get with you no matter who you are. You coming her sideways, so she gonna get with you. Light skin, dark skin don't matter. They go at it like I'm not even a mama.
You think that? Nah, this ain't gonna sound right.
Say it how you say it. You know, we'll work it out. You know,
I
how
know,
we do.
but you know how, like, I want to say that, like, sometimes dark skinned women can be a little bit more
combative.
I was going to go the other way. I was going like they
can be combative.
They can definitely be combative because they feel ugly, but they could definitely be sweeter better character because they still want to be accepted. They're not accepted by the pretty girls or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that too, where like dark skin, like a dark skinned woman would be a little bit more submissive, a little bit more sweeter than a light skinned woman, because a light skinned woman knows she has more to be like, get out of here. I got another one coming. I don't need him.
So-
blah, blah, blah.
No,
But
so-
again, I'm not
that was
teaching
the
that
point
kind
I
of
was making.
craziness.
But
That's
because you're not teaching it, the world is teaching it to them, and that's what. And
Well,
that's
see,
why I had a little bit of pushback.
here you go. Over here on this side of town, because we just moved over here. This is our 3rd year. Like, there's not that many of us at the school. Like, there's us, but you know, it's really not that many. It's more Chinese people over here on this side, because we're more towards, what is this? What's over here? San Antonio. We're more towards going outwards, and this is like a new development over here somewhat. But it's like, what I see at the school is like everybody trying to find themselves. You know, everybody's going that hood route, but
Definitely,
I can't
if you're
explain- I can't
suburban
explain
white,
it.
I could definitely see dark skinned girls from the suburbs being way nicer than the light skinned
Mhm.
girls from the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? If the roles were reversed and it was in the hood, I think, you know, they would have so much practice of firing back, or they would be mean already.
no,
like
the
world don't
here you go.
accept
We
me,
were there,
so I'm
we were
mean.
there. They
So I
we
don't
were there in the
necessarily
hood
look
first.
at it
They
as being
already
nicer.
fired back.
Yeah, I was
How you
saying
look
I
at
don't
it?
necessarily look at it being nicer. I look at it as being more reserved, because if you're dark skinned, you're already looked at as being more aggressive. You know what I mean? You're already targeted as that, you know, that combative, or that
Mm-hmm. Right.
that
So you're
problem,
trying to
that problem
define the
child.
narrative.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in that regard, I would look at it as more as you being more reserved, because you know the eyes
You
are
know, there's a
on
lower
you,
tolerance for you.
yeah, and then the lighter ones is like, I can get away with this. Ain't nobody checking for me. I can spaz off. Ain't nobody finna fight me. Ain't nobody finna do. I can say whatever I want.
Ain't no light skinned people looking for that. That's another a dark skinned person's way of finding something wrong with a dark skinned girl. Because I want to say this. Let me weigh in on this.
That's not a bad thing.
Jewish women, Italian women, Greek women all have the same, but they're not put down for it. And what happens is it's another way to find out, oh, she black, she loud, she this and she that. Light-skinned girls don't look at themselves and be like, well, I'm going to get away with that, because no, it's seen within the culture with another, like, just something, you know, on what not to date a black girl or to look at her in another way, because all black girls aren't loud. I got a whole family full of black girls, a whole friend full of black girls, and all black girls, dark-skinned girls, are not the same. I think it's a niche, and I've heard it as a light-skinned girl.
But that's
So
not
I think
that's not
that's
the
right.
point, though. The point is how the world looks at them. The point isn't how you feel about it. It's how
I think
the
black
outside
men
world
looks at 'em
perceives it.
first. I don't think
It's how the outside world
it.
perceives it. Even when you think of dark skin, even when you look at dark skinned men out in the world, you know, police and, you know, people out on the street, they look at them as more aggressive. They're more scared of them. They attack first more. You see, even in the news, when you see those the African
Super
American
predators
or
and all
black
that,
men
yep.
getting shot or whatever, they're usually the dark skinned ones. It's usually not the light skinned ones that are getting shot. So I'm not talking about it from an inside perspective. I'm talking about it from a global perspective.
I get what you're saying. It's not the same thing, and here's why: because they have been trying to break up the black family home for a long time. They have their reasonings for doing what they do to dark-skinned men the way that they do it. It's not the same as black men saying to a brown-skinned woman, she's loud, she's this, she's that. We do it within our own community, and it gets pressed out into the world. You know, the joke with Eddie Murphy bringing an African woman home. Oh, you don't take care of me, Eddie. Eddie. You know, that perspective comes from black men. I am raised around all black men. I'm not raised around no white people. I know what the household, and I got some strong ones. You think Kevin is crazy? All the men are worse than him. And I'm telling you, they have strong perspectives, and I've watched the way we intermingle with black women. We don't want them to say anything. If they say anything back, they got lip and they got this. They go outside of the race. It's not a light skin thing. A lot of people.
That's not what we were talking about, though. We were talking about specifically her kids in that environment outside, away from
in their response
black
to it,
people and black culture, and how the outside cultures will look at that.
I'm
I
talking
wasn't
about
talking about from a
Kevin's.
black
I'm
perspective.
talking about Kevin's response first. It wasn't her response. I said Kevin's response to, you know, people looking at, you know, brown skinned women as, you know, loud and or whatever because they might have more defense mechanism.
But the brown skin.
No, I didn't say that. Mo said that.
Lighter is not the
Aim that at
loudest.
Mo, because I said suburban blacks, dark skinned, brown skinned girls are more submissive because they feel like there's less tolerance for them.
Okay,
And
so
light skinned girls in a suburban white culture or mixed culture, they're more inclusive to fit. They're more able to fit in that. If we're an Asian, mixed, Latino, a light skinned girl can blend in that, but a dark skinned girl, she sticks out like a sore thumb. So
A fly in the rice.
right. So it's for her, it's more of a I'll be reserved. I'll be a little bit more, hey, I won't make a noise over here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me just get by. Now in a black neighborhood though, I think that could be completely different because now the person sticking out is the light skinned girl. Either she's the one everybody's jealous of, or you know what I'm saying? Like she's sticking out. So I think in that culture is different. Say that again.
Back then when we stayed over there, like, I don't know, because I don't pay attention to them children like that. Like, I really don't. Like, my kids get into it in any and everybody. Dark skinned kids, light skinned kids, they do. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. So I don't really know what goes on at school. All I know, I bet I get a phone call because then that's when we got the problem. But I can honestly say is my youngest one, which is the about that color, yeah, that one. She plays with everybody and anybody. So did the oldest one. So like my oldest just got darker than me because she's been outside in the sun doing band and track. She wasn't always the darker one, but this is just what I got now. But I don't really see it. I mean, I saw it growing up where the dark skin, she was kind of more aggressive, but the light skinned girl, you know, she get to talk crap, but nobody really paid her any attention because she wasn't really a threat because she light skinned, she pretty, she not really finna do no boxing. It was a dark skinned girl that really did most of the boxing, you know, if that makes sense, because everybody look a little confused, like I left the light on.
We're reading them.
Yeah, I was reading the thing, but so again, like and it looked like Smooth, he's actually saying exactly what I've been saying. I think we're confusing colorism and culture. So, like, for example, we were talking about all black women or dark-skinned black women are combative, Like, and I'm not saying it's untrue or not. What I'm saying is probably a response to society and how society treats them. So that's and that is what it is. So I'm not trying to paint them with a broad brush or whatever, but that is what it is. And you have to understand that perception can be reality. But with that being said, and then when we go on the whole other side and we're talking about the whole race and literally, so when Kat said, oh, well, Jewish women, those aren't races, those are cultures. And so like we're painting them all as white. They don't even see themselves as together. So like that's the thing.
I wasn't talking about them just all being white. I'm talking about
the comparison. You were talking about the comparison
in
of
their
attitude.
Culture. They're not put down. It's like their
ghetto-ness is not talked about like how ours is. Ours is looked upon as trash, and we need to fix it. But theirs is okay.
To speak like that, or if they
It is though.
Exactly.
A lot of those ones that you identified as loud and aggressive are the ones that they didn't. The whites in the European nation didn't consider white. Those were the ones who were ostracized. Those are the ones who were enslaved or indentured or whatever you want to call them. Those were the ones at the bottom of the barrel. So the ones that you're talking about are the ones who were ostracized in Europe. That those same reasons.
I'm not talking about white people and all that. I'm talking about within their own culture, making it like that. It became a thing where black men started saying that about black women. I'm not talking about the Europeans. I'm not. They have nothing to do. They enslave everything that's not like them. Hello, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about we blame society sometimes for things we start.
That's not what you said, but I
did say that.
I get that, though.
I did say that. That is exactly what I said.
I didn't hear that part. I heard you use the Europeans as an example for something and characterizing it, but I didn't hear that piece. But I get that piece.
That's all I was saying. I wasn't talking about the Europeans. I said the Jewish women that are loud, or the Greek women that are loud, or the Italian women that are loud within their own communities. They're a lot of times, to me, in Black culture, men say that about Black women to put them down.
So then now we're talking about the patriarchy. So
But
even from that standpoint,
that's how I
but even
said
with
it.
that, right? But still, even with that, like, because you're not part of their culture, maybe you don't realize it. Though their men are saying the same thing. Like, I'm dealing with, I want the more submissive, I want the more whatever, the more docile woman. They're saying the same thing about them. You're just not privy to those conversations. But yeah, like no man wants to deal with a boisterous, challenging woman. So it's not a putting down, it's just their preference. They're like, I'm good. And they're doing the same thing in their culture. It's just that we're the only ones that we actually put our inside business outside. So people get to see our infighting, whereas they don't. That's all.
It sticks out to us because we Black. That's the way I look at it. When I see certain things, when I'm driving the bus or whatever, it sticks out to me more because it's us. It's like we need to do better. I don't care about them. That's the way I don't know how this got here, but that's where I've grown to now. It sticks out more because you look like me. You're not the representation, because I can go to HEB with my work uniform on and you got people smiling and looking all happy and stuff. But as soon as I go in with my I'm gonna get this done outfit on, my little hoochie shorts and a little shirt on, they're looking at me like I'm trash. It's like,
so I want to kind of.
It just sticks out more because it's your culture. It's
your confirmation bias.
Here's the thing. This is something I want to kind of address. We've been talking about the culture differences for the last like 10, 15 minutes, right? But before that, the question was, how do you feel about your kid dating other cultures? And everybody was okay with it. Like, why?
I wasn't.
Like, why are you okay with it? And we're sitting here debating like all these different, they treat you like this. This is like, why are you okay with your kid going elsewhere? Like, that's what's not adding up for me.
Can you stop?
That's why I said I wasn't.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't, like, me personally, I tell my kids, look, you're here. I brought you in the world to be a part of the solution for the Black culture, not nothing else. If you do something else, hey, you do something else. You know what I'm saying? But the reason I brought you in this world is to help be a part of the solution that we have in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? So don't date outside your race. And if you do,
I think that's the most asinine thing that I can ever hear. And only because I'm looking at a panel who is a culmination of a bunch of different races right now. So for me, it's
who's
more
a different
like,
race here? Oh, except for Cat.
Dude, dog, you are a blend. And we already know I'm a blend. Most probably a blend.
I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all.
You can say whatever.
I'm black. Ain't no blend over here.
I think the bigger solution in the long run will probably be just blending everybody. You know what I mean? Like not having these different things where we can argue about race and color and just blend everybody. Then everybody's just a color in the rainbow. Everybody's just a spectrum.
But you're acting. You're saying that, but that'll never happen. That'll never happen. They won't even let it happen.
That's fine. And you being able to control who your kids date will never happen. So I might as well offer another solution. You know, because you can't control anything. And then what mostly is probably going to happen is the moment you say don't do this, they're probably going to do the opposite just to try you. So for me, it's just like, okay, figure it out for yourself. You know what I mean? And when you come back, I'll coach you through it. I don't
necessarily believe that they do the opposite just to try you, because there's plenty that stay in line.
That's what I love about
there's plenty that stay in line. So what's the difference between those? Listen, what's the difference between the Asian girls that never that only date Asian men? What's the difference between them and any other parent that doesn't want their kid to go elsewhere? What's the difference between Latino kids that don't like that stick to their own and any other? And what you're saying, which is asinine, because we see other cultures sticking to their own. And there's plenty of white girls that stick to their own. There's plenty of people that stick to their own. So why can they do it and I cannot do it?
because they're not doing it. These people are sneaking out and doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, and they just not letting their parents know. And then they go back and they marry their own race, but they're dating and doing all kinds of stuff with other races all the time. You're just not privy to it. It happens all the time.
Wait. Time out. I was with you for a second. So you're saying they're out dating and then they go back and marry their own. So if that's the case,
Absolutely.
our kids are just gonna be concubines. No, that's not a solution.
I'm saying it happens all the time. I'm not saying that the marriages and the stuff with other people don't work out. They work out all the time. There's mixed racial marriages all the time. But what I'm saying is a lot of people, like he says, like what he's talking about specifically, who quote unquote only date on here, they're dating all kinds of stuff. They're just not letting their parents know. They're sneaking out and they're dating people behind their parents' backs. I know. I know that from experience. So it's just like, it's not all true. So there's different ideas of what's going on here.
I think you're taking your anecdotal experience and making it a majority thing, and I think it's a minority thing.
Can I just?
It's a minority of their culture that might be doing it. I think the majority of them are sticking to the script.
Go ahead, Kat.
Can I just say that is one of the things that I love about what happened to the racist white community when eventually they have Black grandkids. It's one of my favorite things in the world because the barrier of life is going to keep moving. Whether you try your hardest to keep whatever your race or culture pure, there is going to be someone who chooses love and changes things, whether it takes time or whatever. And we could feel whatever we feel about it. Whoever's destined to do it and whoever loves the hardest and whoever is going to go against their family backgrounds eventually, that's up to them to change the spectrum of the world. You don't understand how that might just say, like, what I know right now. I guess like Indian kids can't even like date Black people. I guess they're just seemed as whatever. So
and for the most part, they have arranged marriages.
Right. So imagine.
Right. So what makes them any different?
What makes them any different?
Are you going to arrange something?
I would. I for sure would.
Yes. Welcome to the show. Yes. Hi, I'm Mo Better. Yes, I will. Yes, I will definitely provide options.
Let me know how that worked out. I want front row seats so I can be there.
Why is it why the negative thing though? Like, let me know how it worked out. Why can't he accomplish that? Because we other cultures accomplish it. So why can't he?
It's been happening for thousands of years. Stay tuned.
Our society in the United States, how are you guys going to accomplish this? Because that is not something that we were geared.
But they do it too. They do it, and then they're Americanized, and they still do it. Look, I'm in IT. Most of these dudes I work with have arranged marriages.
No, the difference is that it's been embedded in their minds from birth. In our kids, it has not. So it is
in my kids. Like I said, did I just say I've been telling my kids from the time they were born, you're here for the solution. You're not here. I mean, you can go off and do that, but I brought you here for a reason. From the time of birth, just like you're saying.
What does that have to do? Are you narrowed it down to who they should marry?
Yes.
So did you put placement cards in front of them? I'm just trying to figure out, how did this work? Did you put this is bad and this good? What did you do? Because you're saying
I only bought dark skin Barbies. How about I'm I know this sounds funny, but this is really the truth.
No, I'm asking.
You're curious, and I'm telling you
for this.
Yeah, so I was providing and I was setting guidelines and I was setting preferences the same way it would probably happen to me. I was setting family guidelines around this type of stuff. We are Black. This is what I want you to be. This is what I want you to be proud in. This is what I want you to stand on. We need to do a better job of safeguarding our culture, the good parts of it. That's our problem, because we're so willing to go out in the world and do whatever. And that's how we end up being bed wenches and concubines. And after they have fun with you, they go back and then they go and marry their own.
So you bought only Black Barbies for your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a son?
Nope. I only have one child.
So that doesn't teach her dating preferences.
Ken, well, the Black Ken, I don't know what was the Black Ken's name, whatever his name. Look.
Barbie and Ken is Barbie and Ken. Oh my God, you did not put that up already.
But this is a prime example of he treats his own how he treats his own top notch, and when he had the black girl, she was paying Dutch on every date.
I'm here for a
But
good
was
time,
that
not a long
what was
time.
the conversation there? The thing is, we don't know y'all love the word privy, so I guess I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon with it too. We're not privy to the conversation that was had there. What was her standards? What was going into that? I don't care about your face over there. You can fix your face. I don't care about none of that. You already know that.
What
But
you
I'm
mean?
just saying,
And her
What
what was
financial
what was the preference there?
and her
What was
financial
it?
status. She was
Hold,
not.
hold on. I want to ask, what was the question? I didn't hear the question.
The question
What
is,
was the
what was the
question?
conversation there? She's always going Dutch. Well, that's that independent crap. Why are you pushing that down?
That was
Culture.
him. He set that guideline. You're
Okay,
going
so why
Dutch
did she
because
go with it then?
I want to make sure you're not here for the money. So they dated for like 3 years, and every date they went on, she had to pay her half. What man does that in a date situation? Y'all would never
But
stand for that, but y'all stand for that
why?
when y'all go see Zaddy.
First of all, I've never seen him. Mine was a hoodlum, so I don't qualify for that conversation. However, I'm saying, why did she stand for that? If she had so much more, so much this, that, and yang yang, I see she got a white hair on, with the body wave and stuff. So why she stand for that? My
Because
thing
she
is,
pedestalized his status. I won't even say his whiteness, but she pedestalized him. That's why
okay,
she compromised her standards for him.
okay.
Whereas the other girl, Taylor Swift, like, no, like the standard is the standard. Like, yeah, you play in the NFL. I mean, the fact that she has more money than him, whatever. But
It's not
if
whatever.
he
That's
even
the standard because
yeah,
he
but
has to
even
prove to him he's in her league. That's
but
really what
but
it
if
is.
she
So he got
yeah,
to
but
pay for
if
it.
she so if he tried that, she'll be like, I'm good. So again, that's why I think it's a good idea for her to start safeguarding our culture. They
It's
come
not
Right.
and they
really
plug
Because
safeguarding.
I don't want my daughter to be her.
Well,
But
that's
that's
not
why
at
what
you
all.
everybody
I don't want
does.
well,
I don't want my sons to date a white girl who's going to treat him like he's
A
second
buck,
rate.
That's
You
not
know,
like he's a
like a
buck.
buck.
everything.
I don't want that. Right.
not
And this
the
is what I mean
bug.
by how do you protect your kids from being treated like this?
Teach
That's
them that
called
they're better than
self-awareness.
him. Teach her the standard. Teach them the standard. They know
What are
better.
the years between these two pictures? What is the year difference between these two pictures?
It's
Probably
not
like
that. It's
4 or 5 years, I guess. 4 or 5 years, I guess.
The one picture
So
was is
so
like this year, and the
yeah, that's
other
what I'm
one was
saying.
probably last year. Like, but
That's
he
what I'm saying.
changed his whole look when it's time to go back to him. He's white. He's white cop.
He like
You
a
know what I'm
cop.
saying?
And
When
he
he
like
was
a
okay.
playing
cop.
with her, you know what I'm saying? He was white chocolate.
I would love to know the real year difference between them, because it might be the difference between the big contract and the rookie contract. You know what I mean? Where it's different, and now you're just starting to get to the bag, and you're like, okay, well, I want to know if you really here for the real reason. With Taylor, I don't even know if that's a real situation or not. If it's just there so she could promote her album and that little movie thing she got going on. You know what I mean? They got some kind of arrangement. I don't know if that's real or not. But at the same time, she does have more money. So he does get more to prove. Because if you remember the whole conversation surrounding this before she was coming, she curved him at the concert or whatever. Like, he came with to the concert and was trying to get with her, and she like swerved him like, get out of here. So on the back end,
him what he did
now
to her.
this is happening. Yeah, I mean, she could be working him just so she could get her face out there for her. You know what I mean? To publicize, to get free publicity for her new little movie thing that she got going on, and her new little concert series she got. So, you know what I mean? We don't really know what it is, but like I said, man, it might be the difference of contracts. You know what I mean? Now he got that bigger contract. So it might be a different situation. Whereas then he was just
So he was with
the
the black girl. So he was with the black girl while he had his new contract. But here's the question, right? And I know we're talking in broad brushes and we're generalizing it. How about this? Would you want your daughter to be that Kayla Nicole girl to where he was having a phase and then he just throws her away and then he goes back to what he really wants to be with in his own? No,
I would have to. I
wouldn't.
would have to talk with my child and say, what's going on here?
How do we know he
why is he being? Why?
And how do we know it wasn't your daughter going through a phase who wanted something and then broke it off like, this ain't really for me? You know what I mean?
Well, we know in this situation, it wasn't that. I mean, their relationship is very public. You know what I'm saying? Not the Taylor Swift thing, but as far as what happened between him and the black group, it's very documented. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, I'm done. Now you see him pop up with Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? So
out of nowhere. I mean, I get it. I mean, the way I would feel about it personally is like, what's this? I always ask my friends, like, if it's something that it goes against, or I got a question about it, I'll say, what is this? Explain this to me. Because he was dressing very hood and very black with her, but all of a sudden he turned into the state trooper that likes to get behind me when I'm trying to get to work. So I would have to ask that question, like, what's this? Is this a phase? Is this a fetish? Like Mo Better said, is this a fetish thing? What we got going on here? Like, to me, I won't let you bump your head because you need to feel that knot. Because if you don't feel that knot, you're not gonna learn. You're gonna keep bumping your head and think I'm supposed to come over there and rub and kiss on and make it better. I can't make that better. Because if one, you need to recognize when somebody really is not for you. And that goes to show that she may not have the self-worth to recognize that you might need to up the standards a little bit. Yeah, you make enough money, but at the same time, why this man can't treat you the way you want to be treated. What were you talking about last night? Whining and dining, all that goes hand in hand. That's why I say I don't try to judge celebrity relationships because you don't know the backhand conversation, because it's always something backhanded. You know, they always pushing some narrative to get paid for this and that. But at the same time, what in your mind allows you to be part of the scheme? The pansy scheme, whatever you want to call it, what allows you to do that? Because if now you're publicly embarrassed and he's over here looking like he actually want to look, because now, like he said, he may be playing for that contract. He may be trying to get a couple more dollars, and somebody say, hey, look, you got dark hair over there. You need to go ahead and get rid of that. You need to come on to the vanilla like you're supposed to. You want this money or no? You know what I'm
Or he
saying?
could have pulled a Jimmy Butler.
what is that? Where is that coming from?
I think it's from whoever is like people
Like
like
in the chat or something. Like that's crazy.
He
What
might
did
do
you
a
do?
Jimmy Butler and be in his emo phase.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I don't know what's going on with all these little background effects, but yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
dope. I like that.
It's
But one thing I
throwing
was
me
going to
out.
say is also it might not have been him trying to be in that thing. It might have been her saying, "Yo, I like this." You know what I mean? And he said, "Well, you know what I mean. I'm willing. I could do that. Point me to a barber, because I've seen that in the past. Right? Like I like a dude with a full beard. That little bald little. I don't like that. So it might have been her pushing him toward that look. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you need
Her
a chain.
people, her
You know what I
press,
mean? You ain't
all
looking
that.
fresh. You need a chain if you're gonna be on my arm. So it might have been her pushing him toward that. We don't know that story. So
Right.
I can't
right.
be.
But
I can't really
how
be
does
mad
that
at him.
that doesn't change? That doesn't change anything. Like the fact that the aesthetic
that
was what it
doesn't.
was, that's fine. Go ahead.
Well, it changes the whole narrative, right? Because it changes like, okay, I'm trying to fit into this thing. Where it was just, I'm trying to please my girl. You know what I mean? And then after doing all these things, changing myself to try to please my girl, I realized I don't like who I am. So it's like, okay, well, now I probably need to end this thing because I don't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore. So it could have been that type of situation. We don't really know that. So
you do all this changing and her family don't accept you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you already said you know how that feel. Like you do all this thing, and we know a lot of brothers who go like date white girls or whatever, and then it be the hood, they be hood, and then like after you don't see them for a couple of years, hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like
He ain't
shorts,
like
go
that.
shorts.
Yeah,
You like you ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, they used to call you slick back from way back with your mother go.
Yeah.
Now your name is Ron. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
No, it's Ronald. Okay, it's Ronald.
Yeah. So
sounds
but
like you don't like the growth. That sounds like growth.
wow.
You know what I mean? You don't like
But
the
Is
growth.
it really
Reaching.
growth?
And
Or
That's
you just
like
reaching,
growth.
bro. Wow.
It's not
So-
reaching because if
Wow.
you see error in your way of speaking in a certain way in every arena, like there's certain places for certain things, right? Every place ain't for everything. You know that at work. You can't go to work and just say whatever you want. So everything ain't for every place. So if you only been in one place, then you only know one thing. But the moment you venture out and see other things and you realize, okay, there's a time and place for everything. So you might start to change your vernacular. You might start to change how you address people. You might start to change how you talk because you realize it triggers people in a negative way. So I can't be mad at somebody's growth just because it makes me uncomfortable because I don't realize who they are anymore. I don't recognize it, or I don't feel comfortable with it. So I mean, it might be a sign of growth. It might be a negative change, but it might be a sign of growth. We don't know that.
I wouldn't call
would
it a
it be
change
any
because he
different?
switched back real quick. I wouldn't call it a change. I call it, like you said, fitting in or playing a character in her movie or whatever you want to call it, little shindig over there. He was playing a role, and maybe he did do it for more publicity for him to get recognized. Because if you ain't getting no playtime, sometimes you do things to get recognized. I mean, we
Go
didn't
ahead,
know
Kat,
who
and then
Kim
I
Kardashian was.
got something I got to say, but go ahead, Kat.
Go ahead.
Would we be as mad is if he was with like a Kim Kardashian and had her pay half for Dutch on the dates, and then he switched over to Taylor Swift? I'm just questioning.
I didn't know
So-
the real backstory, so
No, that's
I believe
consistent.
That was the whole
No, that's
point.
consistent
He had-
behavior.
Hold on.
Okay.
So I believe no.
Well, the reason why
no.
the reason why I'm saying that was because that was the whole gist. It's a black
Okay.
girl that he had dated, and she was on a contest of his that he had, or what was it?
No, that wasn't her. That wasn't her. That was another black girl that he had. There was a contestant.
Oh,
That
that's
wasn't her.
different.
That was a
Yeah.
different.
So this is
Oh.
the second one?
Yeah, that's a different black. Yeah, this is the second black girl.
So he had a track record of dating black girls
It sounds like
I
it.
mean, these two.
that we know of.
Yeah, I don't know what he did before he was famous. But
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm just asking because now that that's new, do we know his track record and how many years again from this person to the last black person that he dated to Taylor Swift? So that's what I'm saying, because we can piece apart, his look from back then to Taylor Swift now. Do we know the real stories and his track record of who he dates and all that other kind of stuff? It just changes the narrative for me. We should have made sure we knew more about that, because to me,
I just know that the fact that he had the sister playing, going Dutch on a date.
but is that
Just
her?
to prove
Was it
her
her
work,
or was it somebody else going Dutch?
that was this one.
So did his previous girl, like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't know who was on the
previous
show.
one was the previous one. They was only to get. Cause I didn't even know he had a show, but I just heard about it recently. So the previous one, he got rid of her. He literally was like, I don't even know why she's mad. We talked for like a month. He was like, this is clout.
but you
She was
see
on the
how
show.
fast Taylor goes through relationships. Like, it's not like she's a catch. She just
So-
got money.
So
She
okay,
goes
so
through
this is
relationships
But
like
it's the status that she got that he's chasing. You know what I'm saying? Because now he's kind of in the black eye now. Because you know what I'm saying? The new thing is
and we're
more
only
views,
13%
more
of the
likes.
population.
Clickbait. I guess you would call it clickbait or whatever. But at the same time, I don't even know this guy. Stuff like this I skim over
he's really
because
important.
he gonna be on to the next.
Yeah,
he
it's a
gonna
new
So-
Taylor
be
Swift
somebody.
boyfriend. It's not even.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the
It's not
popular one.
serious.
It's Taylor Swift's boy.
So
I mean,
listen,
he got popular off of being Taylor Swift. That's when he really got,
No, he's popular. He got a name of his own. But we watch football,
I'm saying,
y'all don't.
like, more to my eye, because
I mean, like he's one of the premier players in the NFL. Like, so he's well known. He has his own thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has his own status. It's not
he's
Taylor
probably the
Swift
best.
status.
Yeah, he's
It's
It's
probably
not
the
Taylor
best.
Swift status, but it is. He has his own well-known status. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying he treated her like, oh, you got to pay Dutch every day. And I'm sure Taylor Swift is not paying Dutch on dates.
So listen, like I said, I don't know the inner workings of the relationship,
right,
and
we
I'm
all
not
don't.
trying to pretend like I do. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, okay, well, let's take it more personally and say, would you want your daughter to be somebody's fun girl on that side of the tracks, and then they just, okay, all right, that's enough of that. Now I'm gonna go back to where I'm gonna go back to home. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't want my daughter to be the fun time, not the long time.
Fetish.
That's
Just
all
call
I'm
it what
saying.
it is. The fetish.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if
I
there's
agree with
love
that.
and
That's
they're
why I
going,
said I would agree with
if
that.
they're building a life together,
That's
I'm not going to
different.
love it, but okay. But I don't want my daughter to be a fetish, and then they send her home with a wet wipe and a crusty mouth. Like, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that.
I agree with that. I agree. Like, that's why I was saying earlier. I would ask you, what is this? Because really, he's down with
But
the
Ash,
culture.
that was
all
my
of a
push.
sudden.
Right, but Ash, but that was my pushback. That's why when you were saying you don't teach
I don't
teach
teach it.
color. So,
But I'm going
and I
to
believe
question.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna
but I
question.
mean, so why would you question if you didn't teach? Because a kid only knows what you taught them. So if you didn't teach them, they were unprepared and they
Because
went
some,
out
like
and
you said,
just living
fetish.
life.
What you just say earlier about the black belt, right? Okay, it's fetish. I know this is out there. They may not. Maybe they culture may let it die down. Maybe not. But at the same time, as a parent, I'm always going to be concerned because I don't know what you're dealing with. You're not going to tell me everything. Just like I was just asking this child what was going on when I picked her up, and all I got is a silent treatment. You know what I'm saying? Kids are not going to tell me everything, but I should still use my third eye and piece it together from what I see. You know, if it looks questionable, it looks questionable. There's nothing wrong with pointing out the obvious, but at the same
No,
time,
Or
I agree.
I can't
there's
be
But if you know
there's
there's a
another
will to
thing about even if I have sons, right? So it's even if I raise my sons a certain way and they're the good ones, I don't want them being that either.
right.
Mhm.
Oh, he's cool because he's one of the good ones. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want my sons being that.
And
Mhm.
it's
Like, so I
hard
don't
to,
want my daughter
it's hard
being
to
the
do
fun
that.
time, and I don't want my sons being, oh, he's one of the good ones. So
Mhm.
we'll accept them on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that for my kids.
And I think that was maybe Cap had mentioned that prior though. Like they was talking about, oh, we just all love to get together and we blend or whatever. I can't remember who said it. So I'm sorry. But so everybody blends together and then we just have this blended society. Only problem with that is this. So because I've seen this dynamic a lot. I actually have been part of a family where they married into a white family and stuff like that. And here's what happens. So what ends up happening is a child comes into that and he's truly mixed and he almost has to pick a side because he never truly fits. And then what ends up happening is either he just chooses a side and he totally shuns the other side, or what ends up happening is society makes him pick and then he feels off. Or let's say you're light skinned and then you end up being super pro black because you're trying to overcompensate for the lack of society telling you you're black enough.
Well,
Cat, I'm
I
sure.
feel like that. I feel like that. I feel like that happens with suburban black kids and hood black kids all the time. I don't think it's
Oh, it
a
does.
race
It does.
dynamic. I think. I mean, hell, I dealt with it a lot. You know what I mean? Coming up, where I wasn't black enough for the black people I was around, and I wasn't white enough for the white people I was around. It just was what it was. So I just never cared. I fit my own niche. I did my own thing. You know, I rolled to the beat of my drum set, and I still do because I still don't fit in with every group. It just is what it is, man.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a color thing. I just think it's just where you come up. It's your family dynamic, and sometimes it's cultural. You know what I mean? It's not always a race thing because I
But
don't
race
fit into
do
every
make you
black
pick
group.
though. Race does make you pick, especially like when you're dealing with darker skinned kids. They do make you pick, and it's like you're not trying to
Even with
fit.
dark and light skin. So light skin
Like I said,
dudes
it's
tell
just
me I'm
I
blacker
don't
than
fit
you.
in. I don't fit
Light
in.
skinned dudes tell me. Light skinned dudes tell me. Hell, white dudes I've had white dudes tell me I'm blacker than you. So you know what I mean? It just is what it is. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you know what I mean? I come from a single parent household and I ain't go to college. I ain't do this. You got a
That's the
master's
black
degree and
experience now.
you come
Yes.
from
Yes.
a
Jesus
two-parent
Christ.
household and you got a master's degree. I'm blacker than you. I was like,
That's so
you know what I
offensive.
mean? Trying to hold back myself from like choking
That's so
dude out.
offensive.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't even know what are you talking about? But I've heard this recently. I've heard it. So you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't necessarily fit in these boxes that people try to throw people in, but it is what it is. So it happens even within the black community. It's not just these different races where you got to worry about. You got to worry about mixing with your own people because it's different. It's different cultural guidelines depending on where you're from. If you've never had that hood or that urban experience, then to a
You
lot
don't
of
fit.
people that come up in that area, you're not really black. You don't really, they don't identify with you. They ain't got nothing in common with you. You know what I mean? You don't have the same experiences. So it's just different, you know? So it's not different. It's not always just the racial guidelines. Sometimes it's the socio-economic guidelines like we were talking about before.
But that makes it the race thing, because like dude try to pull the black card on you, which I don't understand. It's like I don't even because I had to get myself out of this a black or white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a hood thing. You want hood. It's not about being black. That's what you want. You want that. Go have it. Baby, go take the cockroaches, the rats, and eating the noodles and the hyenas for lunch, dinner, breakfast, and the hot Cheetos, walking to the store, spending all your money. Go have that. That's not what I want. I'm sorry. I like to get on an airplane. I want to go somewhere. I do a polyline. That's why I work. I just feel like today's society has made black ghetto, and that's what everybody's chasing, that ghetto ratchetness, that lifestyle of barely having anything, and then when you get grown you start getting everything because you're working. Now you're able to make your own decision because you're making your own money. That's all this is. All we got now is a bunch of hood kids that's finally grown, making decent money, and they're able to catapult themselves from where they was, of the standard of living that they had with their mama or mommy and daddy or granny that really couldn't do nothing but give them, life lessons, home cooked meal, what she could. That's all this is to me now. I really had to stop looking at it as a black and white thing. It's not that. You're chasing this hood mentality that some of us don't want. Some of us don't even want to go near. Like, I don't want my kids to feel like, oh, since my daddy don't do this, I can't have this access to this. Like, why do we paint that narrative? And then we shove it down everybody else's throat, and black women especially. Oh, I'm a strong single black lady. Why? I hate it here. I hate the independent movement. I say it all the time. I hate it. It's ridiculous. You know how strong you got to be to keep yourself together and do like this and not run over a curb and keep the tears back because you don't want to be there, but you got to be there. No, I don't want to do that. Let a man take care of these kids sometime. Come get them. Take them to the park. Go do your little father-daughter dates, whatever you do. I don't have to give me a break. Let me get drunk and go to sleep and wake up and then cook. And then y'all come back and I'm all happy, go lucky. Home cooked meal ain't nothing burnt. May look like it, but it ain't. It just stayed in the oven just a little 2 minutes too long. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I just feel like we took on this ghetto-ness and we hold that as part of our culture. And it's really not. Our parents were trying to get away from the struggle, try to catapult us to something different, and we just stuck to oh, this is our culture. No, that's not Wakanda for life, because that's stupidity. Like, why stay in struggle, and then when you finally get 20s and 30s, you're working to have some Gucci, some designers that really don't mean nothing, because in about 2.2 seconds they finna release that same bag in a different color. Or you don't have a car yet, but you got every color J's, and the release date of every single one. The J's 1997s is coming out again in purple, but you need those for what and where are you going besides asking me, can you get a ride, because you don't have the full $1.25. I mean, when that's what I see. This is, again, I'm speaking about what I see driving the bus, and it's nerve-wracking. It's like, these kids don't have a better opportunity because you want to live this hood life, or you want to chase after this dude, and you know where this dude is going to Shanika house as soon as you go clock in, and your kids is going to go to daycare while you at work. He's going to go have a good time in your car. Like, can we stop that as a culture? Now, can we stop putting that towards our blackness? What happened to our education? Like,
A big part of
being
that's probably
educated is wrong.
socioeconomic too, being on a bus.
Yeah. What you saying? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
A big part of that is probably socioeconomic, being in a bus
Yeah.
environment, I would imagine.
Yeah, because you don't need a car. Shoot, here you go. If I grew up in the inner city and didn't have the bus, yeah, I would strive for a car. But I understand it. But sometimes, don't you get tired of waiting on us? Don't you get tired of us being late? Or we got to do a detour? I had a girl cuss me out because every time she got on the bus, the train runs about that time, so we have to detour. And it's like, look, you can get off, walk, not ride at all. I don't care. But at the same time, don't be mad at me, because this is what the protocol is for me to navigate around this, to not hold anybody else up. Everybody else got a life too. You can get off and just wait and just cross the track and be where you at. It's only a little walk. I mean, it wasn't even a far walk. Like, I was like, maybe like a block and a half back, if that, from where she had to go. But at the same time, it's like, why aren't we trying to stimulate the younger generation catapult forward? Like, it's supposed to be, I shoot here and land right here. Can you go 50 yards past me? Because I always tell my kids, be better than me. Don't do what I do. This is ridiculous. I messed up. I love y'all, but my mistake landed me here, Go further than me. Chase your dreams. Go college. Go off. I'm always encouraged. Keep your passport renewed. Go somewhere. Get away from me. sitting around men going, it's not giving you a life experience. You're just living and breathing what you see me do. No, go experience it. Go live it. Go farther than what I did, because I want you to understand that there's a world outside what I can show you. Your money can take you somewhere different than what my money could, because I got two of them, messed around and got that second one. But it's not a bad thing. I'm kind of over it, but not really. But I just want my kids to go farther than me. You know what I mean? It's like, I think we're so stuck in that I got to get it out the mud and break everybody off that we don't understand. We keeping us in the mud. We can't get out the trenches if we're not trying to really get out the trenches. If we're just holding on to the struggle just for the conversation piece.
What's up, Leafy? You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, man, this was a good conversation, man. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, more so featureism and texturism that I have been, that I have a negative affliction with than colorism. I mean, that just is what it is. I don't really feel anything about it. Not that, it didn't happen around me. It just wasn't a major feature in my life. But yeah, I think this is a good conversation. You know what I mean? Something that, I try to have with my kids all the time. And like I said, my nephews and things like that. It's like, yo, feel good about yourself. Don't listen to what society's talking about with your, good hair and bad hair, or good features or bad features, man. You know what I mean? Your self-esteem should be based on how you feel about yourself, and how you feel about yourself should not be all about what everybody else feels about you. So I think this is a great conversation to have. I think we need to have more conversations like this, and I think the kids in the community and hell, adults need to, realize this, because I just heard that this older lady today just got up my son's hair, like, oh, he got some good hair. Now I'm, almost cussed her out behind that. So you know what I mean? It's
still a thing, and it's always going to be a thing, yo.
It's always going to be a thing, but we need to conversate about that, because even like I said, even within people I know, it like close to me, they still have this affliction where and I'm like, man, get out of that slave mind state. Like, why are you so enamored by these
and
features? And I can't even say these
are European
features.
Why don't you go find you a dark berried African woman? You know what I'm saying? You went and found you a light skinned woman. You know what I'm saying? And now you're gonna get mad at what you produce. Get out of here.
My wife ain't light skinned. She's like your color. You ain't even light skinned. You more caramel, my G.
I'm not light skinned. And
your you're more caramel. Black. So my wife is more caramel. So you know what I mean? That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. What I'm saying is the issue at hand is the idea of this. I don't have the idea surrounding that. To me,
next week we're going to talk about are all black people black?
Oh man.
There's different types.
Definitely. What's up, Kat? What's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I'm grateful that we grow up in a space where we get to see diversity and color and people with different experiences from different walks of life. I believe being able to see all of that allows us to appreciate who we are if we're taught correctly by our people who we are. The experiences that we can experience with people is choices. We can make a choice of staying within our culture or experiencing other cultures if it's meant to be. I don't think everything is one way. We wouldn't be blessed with beautiful mixed up children and different cultural experiences if we would only have it one way. And I believe that this is like a highlight piece. I believe there's so much more embedded. This is like the surface level of what we deal with as human beings, because we were created for each other, and the world kind of breaks it apart. So that's my takeaway.
Oh, better.
So what I would love is for for us to love ourselves and love the skin that we're in. Great. However, I would like for us to be aware of what's going on around us in society. And with that being said, I also would love for, because I'm pro-black, I would, which doesn't mean I hate anybody, but I love myself and my people. What I would love for us to do a better job of is to project better images and to better safeguard our culture and our society, for Black people, and not project the worst of us to the masses. If we do that, potentially that's a start, and then we can grow from there. Because Black people, we're not a monolith, but we have a little bit of everything. But I feel that kind of the underlying issue is that some of the worst is what's being projected from our culture, and I would like for us to do a better job with that.
Hey Mo, I like that, right? As far as how could we, and we just talked about it yesterday, Ash. And we talked about changing the projection of Black women.
Yeah.
But how can we just change the image of, how can we control what's being put out, right? Because of course
Stop
one side's
accepting
going to
it.
put out all the negativity, but we
Stop
got to come to a
accepting it.
point where we're blasting out positive imagery so strong that whatever negativity that they're forcing out, like those corporations are forcing out about us, is kind of gets muted. I think that's the only way to kind of stronghold what's
Black
going
media.
on.
We need to be more control.
We need to
Black
do
media.
better.
Yep. And like I said, we need to safeguard our image, our racial image. For example, you can't say anything derogatory or bad about a Jewish person. They're on your head. They're on your head. I would like for us to be on the same wavelength. Nah, you're not about to put us out there and have us looking crazy. So, and that's, I've been echoing that all show. I would like us to do a better job of safeguarding our culture.
So, Ash, any final thoughts? You went on
No,
a
y'all
tangent.
took them all. Thank you.
Oh,
No, but I'm with Mo better. Like we do, I say this all the time. We need better images so our kids can emulate something better. Because right now you're looking at the kids that didn't have positive role models. Remember how I was asked yesterday about the role models for being married? You don't have too many positive things. So you do have to look at celebrities. Like we as Black people got to take back our media, because we got too many people pumping out this ghetto ratchetness and everybody thinking that's how we live. No, some of us want out. I don't want in. I ain't trying to get jumped in, blood in, blood out. I ain't trying to do that, okay? It's just that I just feel like when we actually start getting back conscious and stop going with all this, I'm gonna hit it on the head, all this feminist crap, and actually come back home, start working on our home instead of trying to work how we are portrayed outside. Because once we start working on the home, on the inside and what's going on there, then we can work on the outside. That's going to show better than what's going on the outside. Because when we go outside, we're picking up everybody else's problem. We're trying to control that. No, we need to control our home, get our children back under control, get us back under control. Because right now, women, I'm just sorry, our Black women is loose and goose, we strippers and prostitutes. That's what I love to say. We strippers and prostitutes right now. We need to bring that back. That's how other races think that we're concubines and all this other type of stuff. We the fun girl, the fetish.
Look, I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to do the little thing.
But I'm just saying, that's just my final thought. We can elaborate on it. I'd love to come back and we can go another round or two about this, because I feel like this is going to start a better conversation so our young people can have it, because they do utilize their phones and they always clicking on stuff, listen to random stuff. And I think this is good to see older Black people that's older than them having an actual conversation about different things instead of what's being pumped in the media, because the media is what done took over our kids. They started with us with the TV and the video games, because I still got video games. I don't care. And matter of fact, when I get off here, I'm going to go turn my PlayStation on.
Huh?
I'm off tomorrow, baby. I'm finna get it in. And the kids gonna be going to school. Oh yeah. Let's go.
Man, I appreciate all you guys, and that's another prototype dad. And we out.